Hi again then guys, so we've got another Gran Turismo 6 drag spec tune for you today, and this time it's an extremely fast drag tune for the Ford GT. Now there are two versions of the Ford GT, there's the 05 and the 06. The 05 actually has a slightly higher PP, but both cars apart from that are exactly the same. They have the same power, same torque, same weight, and as far as I can tell the same performance. The only difference between the two seems to be the headlights. So basically the same as the Veyron. So you want your racing soft tyres as usual. For suspension we've got the rear as low as possible, front as high as possible. Springs you want as low as possible, front and rear. For compression, maximum, extension, minimum. Minimum on the anti-roll bars as well. Camber and tone neutral to get as much tyre contact to the road as possible. For the gearbox you want the highest possible auto setting, then come down to your final drive and bring it all the way up to 5, then come back to your auto setting, click it down and up one peg back to 298, then you want to bring the final drive back down to 3.4, and then for the individual gears you want 2.610, 1710, 1230, 940, 760 and 625. For the diff we've got the highest initial torque, highest acceleration bias and lowest braking. All the power upgrades obviously, and I will be running NOS, and obviously you want weight loss. I will be using an automatic gearbox as usual, and of course traction control is turned off. For any who are unaware, traction control is always better turned off. The car is much quicker without it. Now as usual we're putting it up against a more powerful vehicle, putting it up against one of the most popular drag cars and top speed racers in the game, the Alfa Romeo TZ3. And this Alfa Romeo has significantly more power than this Ford. The Ford has 940, the Alfa Romeo has 1206. So a lot more power. And in terms of weight, they're not that far off. So it doesn't have that much of an advantage. Both obviously are rear-wheel drive, both will be using NOS and racing soft tyres. So let's see how they compare. Now obviously top end, the Alfa Romeo is a well over 300 mph vehicle, so it does beat the Ford top end, but the Ford does a very good job of keeping the Alfa Romeo at bay for over 1,000 metres. And there aren't many Ford GTs that can outrun an Alfa Romeo for any distance, let alone 1,000 metres. Now over the complete straight that you can see here, or 11,000 metres, it's only around 2 seconds behind the Alfa Romeo, which although that sounds like a huge amount, it's pretty much the same distance away from it that it is now, in terms of visually. Obviously it's a bit further away, but you can still see the Alfa Romeo far closer than you would usually be able to. And obviously not many people would be putting this car up against an Alfa Romeo anyway. This is just an example. And considering, as we said, how much more power that Alfa Romeo does have, and a huge top speed advantage, this Ford is very rapid. Now, as always, there are far too many times for me to list for this car's acceleration, but the highlights are it hits 60 miles per hour in 1.5 seconds, which is very quick for a rear-wheel drive car. It actually hits 200 miles per hour quicker than the Nismo GTR, and this car can do 7,000 meters in 1 minute. Now, as you can see, it's not a good handling car on the curve, so I would not recommend using this for top speed racing. It is purely a drag tune. But as I said, it covers 7,000 meters in 1 minute, which is seriously rapid. And like I said, to the 11,000 meter mark, it's only around 2 seconds behind the Alfa Romeo. So if you put this up against, for instance, a Lamborghini or a GTR or a Corvette or a Viper even, it will beat them. Obviously that depends on the other person's tuning, but this car will beat most other cars, if not all other cars of equal power. So I hope you guys find this tune setup helpful. If you did, feel free to subscribe. I put out new drag tunes every weekend, new top speed tunes every day. And as always, thanks for watching.